Coming up, the Philadelphia Eagles got some incredible news on the injury front as they hit the practice field today, getting ready for the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday. And speaking of the Niners, some major injury news with that team as well. We'll get into that also. But want to start here again. New subscribers picked up today. Eagles, Niners. It's a great rivalry that we're going to see take place on Sunday at Lincoln Financial Field. It's a great rivalry inside the walls here at Chat Sports. And today, Eagles now has the edge. Ken Birds fans continue to rally. Hit that subscribe button. And anytime I'm in front of a camera, on a microphone, talking about this football team, I want our content to be insightful, informative, entertaining, thought-provoking. I want you to have a voice, so join the movement, lock us in, and hit that subscribe button. Lane Johnson returning to the practice field today. It has been a long time since we've seen Lane Johnson on the field. He has not played since week 11 at home against the Detroit Lions. And the prior week against the Packers, that's when he suffered that foot ankle injury. And then the following week against Detroit, he gave it a go again and he got hurt. It was deemed that Liz Frank never went on injured reserve. And the expectation, the thought was that maybe he was going to come back a couple of weeks ago, never got to that point. And you don't want to risk a foot injury with a bigger guy. And it could just come down to the fact that Lane Johnson was not ready to play. Now, Nick Sirianni said on Tuesday that Lane was fighting like hell to come back for this wild card matchup against San Francisco. But then Eagles fans were kind of thrown for a loop because, as we know, Lane is very tight with Brian Baldinger. They are fellow linemen and they chop it up and they watch film together. And Baldy sometimes works out at Lane's home gym. And Baldy was on, I think, with Anthony Gargano of PHLY and first said that Lane probably wasn't going to play in this game against the Niners. Then he responded to a tweet and kind of corrected it. Maybe Lane Johnson got in his ear. And then Baldy said Lane is playing. So it looks as though Lane Johnson is getting to a point where he's going to be able to make his return for Philadelphia on Sunday in the wild card round. We know the Lane train effect, right? The Eagles are so much better with him compared to without him. He's a Hall of Fame right tackle, one of the best players in the history of this organization. And when he's not in the lineup, you feel it. You see it. This Eagles offense doesn't operate the same. With Lane, the Eagles all time, 110, 57, and 1. That is a winning percentage just under 70%. Without Lane Johnson, 18 and 27 all time. And this year, Philadelphia only 3 and 4. And he was playing at a Pro Bowl level before he got hurt. Overall PFF grade 77.6, pass blocking grade top 10 at the position at 81.3, and that's among all offensive tackles, not just right tackles. Run blocking grade went down a little bit. This has been an offensive line issue for the Eagles all year, 69.5. But here are the big numbers here. Lane Johnson from that right side did not give up a sack, did not give up a quarterback hit, and only 7 pressures at the time when he went out. That was 4th in the NFL. Here's what Nick Sirianni said about the impact of Lane Johnson. Lane's a big difference maker, and I know he was working crazy to get himself back, and we will see where that is this week. But he's a difference maker. He's one of the best that's ever done it. I think I kind of get too much into scheme with that, but yeah, he allows you to do some different things. Fred's done a nice job when he's come in and played for him. We've won a lot of games with Fred Johnson in the lineup, but yeah, Lane is just a difference maker, and it can affect everything. There's a reason he's going to be in the Eagles Hall of Fame, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's one of the best to ever do it at that position, and he shows that year in and year out. I've been with him for 5 years, and it feels like he just keeps getting better and better, which is a testament to Lane and how he takes care of his body and how he trains and how he mentally approaches this game of football that he loves. Man, I could go on all day about Lane Johnson. I mean, you see it there. You hear it from Nick Sirianni. Like, he has so much respect and admiration for Lane Johnson. We as Eagles fans have to admire and appreciate what Lane has done for this team, because when he decides to call it quits and he decides to retire, yeah, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's going to be in the Eagles Hall of Fame as well. Eagles are sorely going to miss him. And hopefully Lane Johnson can do what Jason Kelce did. Help Howie Roseman find a replacement, as Kelce kind of handpicked Cam Jurgens. I know he had a down year, but he's been a good player. Maybe Lane could do the same for his potential future replacement at that right tackle spot. And a reason why this is huge for this game this Niners defense can be had. This is one of the worst defenses in the NFL. That's what happens when you lose Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. If Bosa and Warner were playing for this Niners team, they honestly might be Super Bowl favorites. But those are two of the best players at their respective positions in the NFL. But without them, without their first-round pick, Kylen Williams, the defense has gone downhill. They're last in the NFL in sacks. They're last in the NFL in pressure rate. Josh Uche, who was a healthy scratch for a long time, if you were on the Niners, would lead that team in pressures, which is kind of crazy. In San Francisco, they have done a good job of bending but not breaking, especially in the red zone. You see the points per game, they're 13th in the NFL there at 21.8. In the red zone, they're 12th, 53.8, but yards per game, 20th, yards per play, 24th, third down conversion rate, 19th. And if the Eagles can't move the ball against this defense and they can't score it against this defense, that is a problem. As for Jalen Carter, the good news keeps rolling in. He also returned to practice today. The Eagles in this game against San Francisco have the clear edge in the trenches. That's with their offensive line against the Niners' defensive line for the reasons that I mentioned. It's also with their defensive line against the 49ers' offensive line. And when you have a player who's as impactful, who's as disruptive, nasty, and physical as Jalen Carter is, it further allows Philadelphia to potentially dominate the Niners up front. And if you do that, that's how you can alter what Kyle Shanahan wants to do within a game. Speaking of that, Kyle Shanahan against Vic Fangio. This is one of the best offensive minds in football against one of the best defensive minds in the history of this game. Shanahan tried to hire Vic Fangio as his defensive coordinator in 2017 when Shanahan got the head coaching job with the Niners. Shanahan has faced Fangio 4 times. And in those 4 games, Shanahan's offenses have scored 11 points, 6 points, 15 points, and 9 points. It's been a long time since Shanahan has gone up against Vic. I believe 2018 was the last matchup between these two play callers, but Vic Fangio has had the edge over Kyle Shanahan. A weakness for San Francisco, again, their offensive line play, especially along the interior. And I think that Jalen Carter could have a field day going up against the likes of Jake Brendel, Spencer Burford, and Dominic Pooney. 3 sacks this year for Carter. Obviously, season cut short, limited games because of the double procedures on his shoulders, but still was one of the more disruptive players in the sport. And you saw when he was off the field how much worse this Eagles defense was alongside those 3 sacks, 7 passes defended, 12 quarterback hits, and 5 TFLs. How about this for the Eagles pass rush as well from Brandon Lee Gowton of Bleeding Green Nation? Nolan Smith, 18.1%, and Jalix Hunt, 17.8%, have generated the 3rd highest and 5th highest pressure rates among edge defenders with at least 100 pass rushes from weeks 10 to 17. They've been cooking, and that's a big reason why this defense since week 8 has been cooking, giving up an NFL best 14.5 points per game. We ain't done. Nakobe Dean back at practice as well. This is a player who Vic Fangio has loved to utilize as a blitzer, but he's also so instinctual going up against the run, but he's a good coverage linebacker as well. And what do the Niners want to do with Christian McCaffrey, who is a terrific player in the running for Offensive Player of the Year after he just won it in 2023? They want to run the rock, and Nakobe Dean can help to fill those run gaps. He's a very sound tackler, which is what you need to do against this Niners team. And the Eagles linebackers, in addition to, of course, Cooper DeJean going up against George Kittle, who is Brock Purdy's #1 option, will be a big matchup in this football game. And then we have to talk about Jaelan Phillips. Jaelan Phillips returning to practice today as well. This is going to go down as arguably the best in-season move that Howie Roseman has made as a general manager. The Jay Ajayi trade in 2017 was a good one. Other than that, Howie has kind of whiffed on some of these in-season moves. Not the case with Jaelan Phillips. Take a look at these numbers. In 8 games played with Philadelphia, you can see why Vic Fangio handpicked Phillips as the player he wanted to reunite with and Howie Roseman to bring in. Phillips has been one of the best pass rushers in the game. 41 pressures in 8 games, 32 hurries, 2 sacks, 7 quarterback hits. The addition of him has coincided with this Eagles defensive turnaround. Howie Roseman did it again. And this is kind of nutty, too. Phillips did not play in Week 18 against the Commanders. It's because he needed some rest. He didn't have a bye week. He could have played 18 games if he wanted to. Instead, he got a much-needed bye week for himself. All right, so that is the Eagles' injury news here. It's all good on that front. Coming up on the other side, some major Niners injury news, which could play a role in this football game. But I do want to tell you about this deal, thanks to our friends at Fanatics. You got to take advantage of it right now because this deal lasts limited time only. This Eagles hoodie t-shirt, Nick Sirianni loves to rock these when it's not too cold. They were $60, now on sale for just $42. It's Nike, it's midnight green, it's fresh, and you can really wear this around the crib, out, if you're going to an Eagles game, heading to a bar, you're going to look good. Chatsports.com/Eagles hoodie shirt. Chatsports.com/Eagles hoodie shirt. Use that link so that deal applies. $18 off. We'll put that link down below in the show notes and attach to the pinned comment of today's Philadelphia Eagles. Now, these Niners players not practicing on this Wednesday, January 7th, a few days away from this game on Sunday. Left tackle Trent Williams, one of the best, if not the best left tackles in the history of football, hamstring injury. Wide receiver Ricky Pearsall re-aggravated a PCL injury, which kept him out from the end of September until November. He's the lone player at wide receiver for San Francisco who can actually get vertical. He's dealing with knee and ankle injuries. D. Winters is a speedy backer. He hurt his ankle against the Seahawks on Saturday night. And then Keion White did not practice today due to a hamstring injury. This Niners offense, the engine is revved by Trent Williams. And when the Niners did not have Trent Williams against an elite defense with the Seattle Seahawks on Saturday night, this Niners offensive line got exposed. Austin Pleasance made his first career start. He was good the prior week when he filled in for Trent Williams against the Bears, but that Bears defense is not very good. Against Seattle's ferocious defense, Austin Pleasance was horrible, and it was really a domino effect across the rest of the line. And that's how much Trent Williams was missed. This impacted the run game for the Niners. It impacted the pass game. Kyle Shanahan loves to run outside zone to that left side because Trent Williams is so dynamic, getting out in space with pull blocks, and obviously as a pass protector, he does a great job of protecting the blind side of Brock Purdy. If he doesn't play in this game, that's a big loss for the Niners. And Ian Rappaport tweeted out that Trent Williams and Ricky Pearsall, there's a good chance they might not be able to play. As for Ricky Pearsall, another thing that really impacted San Francisco against Seattle was the lack of a field stretcher. Everything became so condensed, and the Niners in turn became so much easier to defend. And so it's not like Seattle had to do anything exotic on the defensive side of the ball. I believe they just stayed in like nickel throughout the entire game, and they were not threatened at all downfield. That's what Ricky Pearsall does, who's also a phenomenal route runner. And then there's D. Winters. D. Winters is a player who plays like his hair is on fire. He's a very speedy linebacker. Now, sometimes that can get him in trouble because he can over-pursue, but I do think at moments this year, he has made some big improvements. There was the pick six against the Indianapolis Colts on Monday Night Football a couple of weeks ago in which D kind of read what Tyler Warren was doing, read the eyes of Phillip Rivers, picked him off, took it back to the crib against the run. He can make some really big hits, and the Niners are so depleted at the linebacker spot. They might start Eric Kendricks, who was just picked up in November by the Niners, and they might have to start a guy like Kaiser White, who they signed yesterday. The Eagle from 2022 had more than 100 tackles with Philadelphia that year. And then there's Keion White. The Niners like to use their bigger defensive ends. They prioritize bigger defensive ends compared to Philadelphia. The Eagles like smaller, twitchy defensive ends and edge rushers who have more bend, who can get around the corner, like a Nolan Smith and a Jalen Hunt, who hover around 250 pounds. The Niners' philosophy there, a little bit different. Now, San Francisco runs a 4-3. The Eagles run that hybrid 3-4. Keion White, though, is a bigger defensive end, former second-round pick by the Patriots. He was picked up by the Niners a week before the trade deadline, and the Niners like to use him at defensive end and at defensive tackle. Solid player, good rotational player. He'll be a better backup compared to a starter once Nick Bosa and Mykel Williams come back next year. But the Niners are also thin at defensive end and along the defensive line. So we'll monitor his status as well. Don't forget to give me a follow on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Chase_Senior. I'm giving you so much Eagles coverage here, doing the same over there as well.